والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد ولد آدم أجمعين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين على مر الأيام والليالي والشهور والسنين أما بعد. We continue in Usul al-Thalatha, 2:25 p.m., Sunday, July the 28th, 2019, on the Gregorian calendar, which agrees on the Hijri calendar, we're still in the blessed month of Dhul Qa'dah. Some say Dhul Qa'dah, and both of them are correct. Some say Dhul Qa'dah, even though they say it, which is Afsah, Dhul Qa'dah. But Dhul Qa'dah is also added, it's also known. As we're still in the month of the 25th of Dhul Qa'dah, the year 1440 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam, which is only a couple of days left until Hajj, the month of Hajj starts. So we continue with Surah Thalatha, and we were explaining the meaning of La Ma'bud Bihaq illallah, the meaning of La ilaha illallah. As we said last class, the meaning of La ilaha illallah is La Ma'bud Bihaq illallah, that there's no deity worthy of worship in truth except Allah. We were speaking about the ayat that you'll find that the Imam Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, that he used to support these qawa'id, these principles in which we've been speaking about. For example, we spoke about the ayah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, in order to substantiate the principle which he brung, that the meaning of La ilaha illallah is La ma'bud bihaq illallah, that there's no deity worthy of worship in truth except Allah. Where he mentioned the ayah, شَهِدَ اللَّهُ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ وَأُولُو الْعِلْمِ قَائِمًا بِالْقِسْطِ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. That Allah testifies that none has the right to be worshipped except Him, and the angels and those who possess knowledge. لا إله إلا الله وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط, establishing justice. None has the right to be worshipped except Him, and He is Aziz and He is Hakim. So we said that the meaning of La ilaha illallah, that there's no deity worthy of worship in truth. And we said in regards to the meaning of La ilaha illallah, it does not mean Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. It does not mean the category of Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, however it is implied. But that was not the mission of the prophets, to establish Rububiyyah, even though it was already understood as far as in the fitrah, on the natural disposition of the human beings, in which you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only used Tawheed al-Rububiyyah as they say, min bab iqamat al-hujjah ala al-khalq. That Tawheed al-Rububiyyah is mentioned in the Quran in order to establish the proof against the creation of the second category, which is Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. But Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, as we talked about on many occasions, in many classes, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah is an affair in which you'll find even the most afsaq al-nas wa akfar al-nas yu'minuna bih, that the most disbelieving of people affirm it. And from them is Iblis. Iblis, Shaitan al-La'een, the accursed, he affirms the Rububiyyah of Allah. And likewise, you'll find that the most disbelieving people affirming and testifying to Rububiyyah. You'll find, whether it be from Qarun or the people of disbelief in the past, and even during the mushrikeen during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, all of them affirmed the Rububiyyah of Allah. وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهِ. If you used to ask them who's the creator of the heavens and the earth, they will most definitely say it is Allah. Which is to let us know that Rububiyyah was something they testified. but it did not enter them in the fold of Islam. That category of monotheism, it is essential and it is obligatory to testify. However, it does not validate one's Islam if he believed in that only. If he believed in that category only, that would not validate his Islam, nor would it enter him in the fold of Islam. Nor will it enter him or her in the fold of Islam. So we said the La ilaha illallah means La ma'bood bihaq, or you can say La ma'bood haq illallah. There's no deity worthy of worship in truth. Why we say in truth? Because there are other ma'budat. There are other deities that are worshipped. وَلَكِنْ عِبَادَتُهَا بَاطِلَةٌ. However, the worship of them is false and invalid. That's the reason why it is correct to say La ma'bood bihaq. There's no deity worthy of worship in truth. So we know La ilaha illallah affirms uluhiyah, even though rububiyyah is implied. Rububiyyah is implied, but uluhiyah, the aspect of worship, is what was the mission of the prophets and messengers. To establish the worship of Allah, even though rububiyyah was implied. It was implied because that was the basis, no doubt. But that affair alone, which is rububiyyah, did not validate their Islam at all. Even though they testified to it and he affirmed it. طيب. So we said the ayat to which Allah Ta'ala came with the most, as they say, أعظم الشهادة على أعظم مشهود. That Allah Ta'ala testified, and that is the greatest of testifications, who's Allah Himself testifying that none has the right to be worshipped in truth except Him. And then after His testification is another great testification, which is the angels, the malaika. The malaika also testify to the categories of Tawheed, which is the rububiyyah of Allah, the rububiyyah of Allah and the uluhiyah and al-asma wa sifat. As you'll find that Allah Ta'ala says in His book, وَإِذْ قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَإِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً قَالُوا أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَن يَسْفِكُ فِيهَا مَن يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون فعلم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضه على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين قال سبحانك ما علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. This is a clear ayah showing that the angels testify to the rububiyyah of Allah. And the angels testify to the uluhiyah of Allah. And notice in the ayah they said, إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. You are all knowledgeable and you are all wise. What is that affirmation of, everyone? Al-asma wa sifat. So the malaika also testify to this affair, which is of the rububiyyah and the uluhiyah and the al-asma wa sifat of Allah. So this is another great testification of those who are the greatest of worshippers, who do not disobey Allah in the least, and they carry out all of His commands. And they are the ibadu mukramun, as Allah Ta'ala described them, bal ibadu mukramun, as they are the honorable worshippers and servants of Allah Ta'ala, do not precede Him in any statement, Ta'ala. And they carry out His commands, and rather they are in fear of Him subhanahu jalla fil ula. And this is what we discussed last class briefly. And the last of those who testify to this affair is those who truly possess ilm. And we said that the meaning of ilm here is ilm al-kitab wa sunnah, al-ilm al-shar'i, not al-ilm al-dunyawi. The meaning of the people of knowledge is the people of kitab and sunnah, al-ilm al-shar'i, the legislated knowledge that is in kitab and sunnah. Ahl al-ilm al-shar'i, not Ahl al-Sina'ah wa Zira'ah or other than them. Not the people of Sina'ah, not the people of who indulge in industrial affairs or agriculture or field work or technology or what have you, and so on and so forth. But the meaning of that is the people who are Ahl al-Ilm al-Shar'i. The people who have knowledge of Kitab and Sunnah. And you will find that the majority of these people who have knowledge or possess knowledge of the worldly affairs, you'll find that a lot of them are malahida. A lot of them are disbelievers and atheists, or the different types of atheists who are agnostics or communists or liberalists or what have you. You'll find that a lot of them who possess knowledge of the worldly affairs disbelieve in Allah Ta'ala either totally or disbelieving in His wahi, where they just say, I testify there's a deity, but I don't believe in any religion. All of those different people, you'll find that they have knowledge of the worldly affairs or worldly sciences or worldly knowledge. But however, they did not utilize it in a manner that befits them, where they testified to the reason of why they've been brought in this existence, which is the creation of Allah Ta'ala. So that's the reason why we said that the meaning of ulul ilm in the ayah is the people who are ahl al-ilm al-shar'i, the people of kitab al-sunnah. They have knowledge of kitab al-sunnah. It's not the people of industrialism or agriculture or farms or what have you, or knowledge of accounting or for example, people or engineering, or even in the affairs of medical field, or the affairs of what they call tib, people being doctors or what have you. For find that those who truly benefit, even if they have some type of mundane worldly knowledge, is if it was coupled with the kitab or the knowledge of kitab or sunnah, where it puts that type of knowledge of the world in its proper place. So you'll find that the knowledge of kitab and sunnah will allow those other knowledges of the world to be put in its proper place. Without a person utilizing those type of fields in order to disbelieve in Allah subhanahu jalla fil ula. That's the reason why you'll find that Allah Ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Verily those who truly fear Allah from His worshippers or His servants is the ulama. So we said, Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, this is what we discussed last class. And this is what we're going to also give a little bit more details. We said that La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, that it has conditions. And it has two pillars. And it has conditions. And it also has mukammilat. It has affairs that completes it. It has affairs that renders it incomplete. And it has affairs that negate it, meaning that will nullify it. This is what we were talking about last class. As I don't have time to go inside the conditions of La ilaha illallah, as we discussed that on many occasions. And I don't think it's a time to now repeat everything that we discussed, probably maybe 10 to 20 times. But La ilaha illallah, know for sure that it has two pillars. And it has conditions. And it has affairs that complete it. And it has affairs that renders it incomplete. And it also has affairs that will negate it, that will invalidate it. This is what we were discussing and touching on a little bit in last class. We were discussing on the nawaqid, those affairs that will nullify one's Islam. And these are the matters you'll find that certain people are ignorant of. As the nawaqid of Islam, those affairs that nullify or invalidate Islam, it was important for one to have knowledge of. Alhamdulillah, a lot of us have covered the conditions of La ilaha illallah. We have covered the ruknan, the two pillars, which is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, in which we'll give a little bit more details in that soon, inshallah. But what we were discussing last class is some of the nawaqid, some of the matters that nullify and validates one's Islam. As we said last class, from those matters that validates La ilaha illallah, from those matters that invalidates it, invalidate it, is istihlal al-muharramat, making lawful what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made unlawful. That is a naqid, that is a nullifier of one's Islam. All these nawaqid, or these matters that nullify your Islam, brothers and sisters, keep in mind these are general ahkam. These are general rulings. These are not to be put or applied on someone specifically without proper conditions, which is called istifa al-shurut wa intifa al-mawani'. هذه هي شروط التكفير. All of these that we're touching on now are called ahkam amma. These are the general rulings. They are not ahkam khassa or tanzil al-ahkam ala al-ashkhas al-mu'ayyanin laha ahkamuha. There's a difference between general rulings and applying the ruling specifically to one individual. We're taking this ruling that we're about to touch on and applying it on someone specifically. That has conditions, and that's a separate category. Understand this, and if you understand this point, you will not fall into takfir as a lot of people do, due to their ignorance. They read these ahkam in these books, and they now try to apply those ahkam to specific individuals, and as a result of it, they fall into oppression. And now declaring people as believers to be unbelievers. Or of people that maybe just became Muslim, they'll take them out the fold of Islam. Because some of these people do not know of certain things that nullify one's Islam. Or you'll find them hastening towards not applying what they call istifa' al-shurut wa intifa' al-mawani', fulfilling the conditions of takfir and also removing the barriers that keeps them in the fold of Islam. Those are the prerequisites of takfir. That now one has to fulfill the proper conditions of it, which is iqamatul hujja alayhim, which is to establish the proofs and the arguments against them first, by teaching them what is correct, and also removing the excuses and the barriers that remove them or took them out, or that protects them from that protects them from not being removed from the fold of Islam as a result of it. What do I mean by those mawani'? Mawani', those protective barriers, such as, for example, a person being ignorant. That's a mani'. Or a person being influenced by evil scholars. That's a mani'. That's a protective barrier. A person being influenced by evil scholars. Or a person being ignorant. And then there's other than that, as we'll talk about in a couple of minutes, inshallah. However, I wanted to make clear that these ahkam that we're touching on are general. And it's not for anyone to apply these ahkam on anyone specifically. If you do that, you'll fall into takfir. And you'll fall into tanfir, and then you'll fall into tafjir more than likely. You'll fall into declaring someone an unbeliever. Then you'll fall into now fleeing the people away from the religion of Islam. And then ultimately and inevitably in the end, you'll fall into causing bombing and mass hysteria and chaos and wreaking havoc in society. That is because you'll find that the majority of people of takfir do not separate the arenas of what is general rulings and applying it to specific individuals, and knowing that there are two different worlds and there are two different arenas. What we're discussing now is general ahkam, as we said. General rulings. And I want everyone to keep that in mind. Because, like we said, that due to that, or the lack of that distinction, people fall into takfir of declaring Muslims to be unbelievers, and as a result of it, they shed their blood unjustly. So the first type of naqid, or the first general ruling of what nullifies your Islam, is istihla al-muharramat, declaring something lawful which Allah made unlawful, or vice versa. Or vice versa. Of an affair that is supposed to be known of the religion by dire, extreme necessity. Meaning you have to have knowledge of this matter without any excuse. I'll say it again. Declaring an affair that is lawful, that Allah made lawful, that you make it or have the belief that is unlawful. Or the opposite. Or the opposite. An affair that Allah made unlawful, you believe it to be lawful. And it's an affair, as they describe it, amrun ma'loom min ad-deen bid-darura. It's a matter that's supposed to be known by the religion, that one has to have knowledge of it by extreme necessity. Extreme necessity, that you have to have knowledge of that matter. Such as, what is tawheed and what is shirk? That is something that a person has to have knowledge of by extreme dire necessity. Meaning it's an affair that is very detrimental. That you will not be excused of it on the day of resurrection, especially if the matter was facilitated for you to learn it and you disregarded it, or you neglected in that matter, a very, very severe neglect, a very, very severe neglect. For a person that now, let's just say, says that it's permissible to prostrate to the moon, or it's permissible to believe in what they call ilm al-tanjim, or the knowledge of the stars, and what people believe, which is called the belief in zodiac signs, or the position of the stars. It's permissible to learn that, and it's permissible to believe in it. If a person does that, the general ruling is, generally, as I keep mentioning, then that nullifies Islam. Because that an affair of shirk and polytheism is an affair that one has to have knowledge of by extreme necessity. That one is not excused for not having knowledge of it. For example, now, an affair that is, for example, that has to be known by the religion of extreme necessity, such as the drinking, shurb al-khamr, the drinking of intoxicants, or a person using drugs, or weed, or what have you, as they are the worst form of intoxicants. It is not just a liquid form. Anything that changes demeanor or covers the demeanor of the intellect and changes it is considered khamr. Rather, you'll find that Ahl Ilm say that the weed or cocaine or crack is the worst form of khumur, is the worst form of intoxicants. It is worse than drinking. All these affairs are the worst type of intoxicants. طيب. Now a person says, no, these type of intoxicants are halal. I believe it to be halal because it's from the earth. If a person says this, I believe this affair is halal. We are in 2019 and you still live in the bone age, as some of them say. You still live in the dinosaur age. You have to modernize and come up with the times, akhi. And we say to you, look at the society around you. Look what these intoxicants have done to society. Did it bring any good? Did it bring any good to the families and the households that have been destroyed as a result of crack and cocaine and alcohol and the likes? Has it done anything beneficial to the communities? Just look around you. It's self-explanatory what it's done to society. How many people have come from broken homes because their mother were doing drugs? How many from broken homes and families and divorces and relationships destroyed because of alcoholism and because of people becoming high? And we know that one of the primary goals of Islam, of the essential goals that Islam came to carry out and to actualize, is the protection or the preservation of the mind. The preservation, as they say, of the mind is min ad-daruriyat al-khams, from the 5 affairs in which Islam came to actualize, and it was from its goals and missions. From them is the preservations of the people's minds. For a person now to come and say, no, this affair is haram, this affair is halal, generally, that person says this, his Islam is nullified. After it's been established upon him the proofs in Kitab and Sunnah. That's due to the ayah, as Allah Ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, whoever opposed the messenger after the clear guidance has been conveyed. After the clear guidance has been conveyed. Meaning that the affair of establishing a proof against the person has to be established in order for a person to be considered a kafir. So do not rush to takfir unless you have fulfilled what they call the prerequisites of it, which is istifa al-shurut wa intifa al-mawani', which is to fulfill all the prerequisites of takfir. From them is establishing the proofs and raising the barriers off of them, which keeps them in the fold of Islam, such as ignorance or being misguided by evil scholars that have influenced them. There's a lot of barriers in Islam that protects the people, the common folks especially, from those who have been misguided, from the people of innovation, that we do not hasten towards declaring them to be unbelievers due to these type of matters that we just mentioned. Either ignorance or be influenced by evil scholars, or, for example, living in an area where the truth have not been propagated to the end of it. There's a lot of mawani', which we'll talk about inshallah in this time. طيب. So that's the first affair which considered a naqid. What will nullify your Islam is, like we said, to deem or believe that affair which Allah made lawful for it to be unlawful. For example, also just to give another example, to believe that music is halal. For example, I believe music is halal. طيب, Allah says in his book such and such. The Prophet ﷺ says such and such. The Sahaba, their position, their understanding of it was such and such. No. I don't care what was mentioned. What we got to believe now, or what has to be done by necessity now, is to modernize Islam and to do what everyone else is doing. There's no getting away around it, akhi. For a person comes now and says music is halal. Music is halal, or denying an affair, like we said, that is ma'loom min ad-din bid-darura, where a person has to have knowledge of it by extreme necessity. If he deems it to be halal after Allah made it haram, or deems it to be haram after Allah made it halal, generally that nullifies your Islam. Why did we say that, brothers and sisters? Just as Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah mentions, it says, because that is from the affairs of rububiyyah, of the lordship of Allah. This has a direct connection and correlation with the rububiyyah of Allah. Do you not say that Allah is your Lord? If you truly say that, and you profess that verbally, it has to be also verbal. It has to be confessed and testified in the heart. That you're saying with your heart and your tongue, where they have to be connected together. That you say that Allah, you being my Lord, everything that you have sent down is perfect and beneficial for creation because you know better than the creation. And for me to say now that I say that you, O Allah, we live in 2019, we have to modernize Islam, is as if you're now accusing Allah of forgetfulness, or Allah making a mistake, or that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not perfect as Him being your Lord. He's not perfect. He has some type of defect, imperfection. This is the reason why we said this affair which we're discussing will nullify your Islam, based upon what Shaykh al-Islam says here clearly. Shaykh al-Islam actually says, فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ آمَنَ بِالْقُرْآنِ. Excuse me, I'll go back what he said. He says, ثُمَّ بَيَّنَ الْعِلَّ فِي كُفْرِهِ هِيَ عَدَمُ إِيمَانِهِ بِالْقُرْآنِ وَالرَّسُولِ. Shaykh al-Islam, he clarified the illah, the reason of this person being an unbeliever, which is that a person has not the proper faith, nor faith in the Quran and what the message of Allah brought. Because a person that believes in the Quran, من استحل محارمه فإنه من آمن بالقرآن من استحل محارمه وكذلك لو استحلها من غير فعل. He said, for verily the one that believes in the Quran will declare everything that Allah to be unlawful, he would declare likewise to be unlawful. And similar to what is halal, if Allah made an affair which is lawful, he will likewise declare it to be lawful. He says it doesn't matter if a person did it in statements or in actions or in i'tiqad, which we'll give examples of. He said, وَكَذَلِكَ لَوْ اسْتَحَلَّهَا مِنْ غَيْرِ فِعْلٍ. Let's just say he does it in statements, and he can fall into this affair in actions. وَالْإِسْتِحْلَالِ اعْتِقَادٍ أَنَّ اللَّهَ لَمْ يُحَرِّمْهَا وَتَارَةً بِعَدَمِ اعْتِقَادٍ أَنَّ اللَّهَ حَرَّمَهَا وهذا يكون لخلل في الإيمان بالربوبية ولخلل في الإيمان بالرسالة ويكون جحدا محضا غير مبنيا على مقدمة. He says, والاستحلال, declaring an affair to be lawful, what Allah made unlawful is the belief that Allah did not make it unlawful. If a person now sees that Allah made it lawful, the correct aqeedah is to likewise say, Allah, I believe you being my Lord, I follow exactly what you say, I say this affair, what you say, that is lawful, I believe it to be lawful. And verily, you're my Lord, you say that an affair is unlawful, then likewise, you being my Lord, you are perfect in what you legislate, I believe likewise it's unlawful. And if a person does in contradiction to what Allah legislates and what Allah sent down, this is due to some type of imperfection, or this is due to some type of khalal. It is due to some type of discrepancy in one's faith in the aspect of Allah being His Lord, or due to some type of discrepancy in one's faith in the risala or the messengership of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, and this is a jahdan mahdan ghayr mabni ala muqaddima. And this is an absolute denial which is not built upon any type of introduction, meaning any type of foundation. So these are just generally something that will nullify your Islam. For example, and I gave another example of this. Like we said last week, as the Muslims, we believe that homosexuality is wrong. We believe it, and we do not try to water it down. This is our belief, so respect it. The non-Muslims will try to say you're homophobic. No, I'm not homophobic. Just because a person is homosexual does not mean that I have to kill him, or I have to go out and establish justice against him in the street, or kill him, or murder him, or hurt him, or harm him. He's still respected as a human being, not what he believes. And like we said, we do the same thing with non-Muslims every day. We show them good dealings out of what? Out of them being respected as human beings. And the fact that we treat non-Muslims, showing them the good things about Islam, the fact that they're upon kufr and shirk is worse than a person being a homosexual. It's worse. And despite of that, we've been commanded to go out in society, especially in the non-Muslim society, displaying the mahasin of the religion, displaying all the good type of qualities of the religion. That's when we've been commanded. And we know that these are for the affairs of the authorities. We are not to condemn non-Muslims where we treat them unfairly, where we now lie to them, or we cheat them, or we steal from them, or we show disrespect to them in regards to what is not a fi ghayri maslaha, what will not be a benefit for Islam. That is in regards to a non-Muslim, who what they're upon is worse than a homosexual. Even your non-Muslim neighbor, you cannot disrespect them. Your non-Muslim neighbor, you cannot disrespect them. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ had a child that was a Yahudi. He had a Yahud, and we know the enmity of the Yahud against Islam. And he was his neighbor who was a Jew. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ visited the child of the Jew who was sick, and they gave him shahada. Because the Jew knew that the Messenger of Allah was the Prophet ﷺ, they only denied it out of arrogance and out of jealousy. But the father said to the Jew, to the child, "Ati' Abul Qasim." He said, "Obey Abul Qasim," because he knew he was the truth. But they denied it out of envy and jealousy, because they wanted the last messengership to be from them. But the messenger of the father, who was the Yahudi, said, "Ati' Abul Qasim," obey Abul Qasim. He became Muslim. That was his neighbor, and they were a kafir. It was a non-Muslim. A non-Muslim that doesn't show enmity, of course, that doesn't show disrespect of Islam and enmity, are treated different from those who outwardly show enmity and show disrespect and violence towards the Muslims. That's something different. But like we said, as far as in kufr and shirk, what the non-Muslims are upon is worse than a homosexual. And despite of that, have we been commanded to go out and every kafir that walks by say, "Is you this filthy, despicable, lowly kafir"? Huh? Do we do that when we go outside? La. That's fi ghayri maslahatil Islam. That's not in what is beneficial for Islam. In certain cases and instances, which I have some details, but generally, for that which is not out there, you go outside right now and do that to a non-Muslim. Are they ever going to accept Islam? That you say to them, "You filthy, nasty kafir, walk them down the street." Any of them going to accept Islam? Fine. That's worse than a homosexual. Now you say to a homosexual walking down the street right now, the F word. The F-A, you complete the fill in the blanks. The F word. Or the H word, the homo word. You homo, look at this homo walking down the street. And they hear you. I'm asking. You say that to them? Are they going to accept Islam? That's like we said. Keep in mind what they're upon of disbelief and polytheism is worse than them being what? Homosexual. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Keep that in mind, because I've heard certain people come to me and say this. AbdurRazzaaq, someone homosexual, is he a kafir? I say, he's not a kafir. Who told you that? Homosexual is a major sin from the kaba'ir. It's from the kaba'ir, from the major sins. As long as he does not make it what? Halal. That's the point I was mentioning this. Now, just wait. I know I'm coming to another point. How does they make it halal? How does a person make it halal? There's a type of way that you can make it halal by fi'l, by action, which is if they get married. If two couples in Islam, two men get married, that is a clear indication they made it what? That's a clear indication that they made it what? Halal. It's a clear indication they made it lawful. Because if they deemed it to be unlawful, they would hide it, right or wrong? They would hide it, they would go in the corner and they would hide it, because we know at the end of the day we're wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. I know we found something of our desires and we'll be hiding, they will hide it. But now when you're openly displaying it, and you're now getting married and legislating it, and saying it in front of society, and telling to society to do it, and call to it, now you're traversing in a whole other arena. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? However, if still that being the case, still you have to now establish the proof against them in order to deem them to be what? Kuffar. Even though what they did was an act of disbelief. That's still the general hukum. You cannot deem somebody to be a kafir unless you have established the proofs and evidences against them. And they have been advised, and they have been taught, and the clear message have been conveyed to them. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? After the clear message have been conveyed, and we do not, as Muslims, apologize for believing that homosexuality is wrong. We do not apologize. Regardless of what the kuffar say, or you're homophobic. My thing is, when people say you're homophobic, I switch against them. Since you believe that we believe that it's totally correct to marry women. I marry a woman. Do I now say that you're heterosexual phobic? You're heterophobic? Just because you believe that I'm wrong for the type of life I'm practicing? No. You're heterophobic. Doesn't make sense what these people say. Just because you have total denial and you disdain what they do and condemn it, and you say, listen, that's my belief. My belief is, in Islam, that homosexuality is incorrect. It's wrong. And I'm not apologizing for it. Just like you're not apologizing to your belief, I don't apologize for mine. And a Muslim should never apologize to what Allah and His Messenger have what? Made haram and made it unlawful. Do not apologize. It's easy to now refute or rebuttal the non-Muslims and what they say. You could come to them, they'll say you're stirring up some type of chaos amongst society because you're saying that homosexuality is lawful. That's your belief? Yes, of course. That's my belief. 100%. Does that now necessitate that I got to go out and murder and kill and steal from a person that practices it? No. Is it clear what I'm saying? That I go out and kill and murder and steal and now put right on his door, his door, homosexual. Akhi, that's all wrong. What are you doing? Or right on his car, homosexual, you disgusting, filthy human being. Akhi, what are you doing? That's wrong. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Do we apologize at the same time? Absolutely not. And stick to your beliefs. They will respect you. It's easy to use their beliefs against them. It's easy. Trust me, it's very easy. You do not have to compromise anything. I've talked to numerous people have talked to me about this. You say you believe it's homosexual. You Muslims believe homosexual is wrong, right? I said, yes, of course. Man, why though? Why? I said, this is our belief. Just like you have your beliefs, right? You have your own beliefs. I have mine. In your ways and your customs, and here in America, you believe there's what they call hurriyat al-adyan, right? You can easily use their laws against them. You believe that there's freedom of what? Religion, right? So you believe that. So you're entitled to that, as this country says. And likewise, I'm entitled to mine, right? To you be your way, to me be mine. Done. Now you add on to it, do I have to now disrespect you, kill you, murder you, wreak havoc, attack your family, attack your children, write on your walls of your house, write on your car, you homo to the end of it? That is absolutely 100% wrong. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Can anyone now say anything to you after you say that? What could they say? I respect you as you being a human being, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to maintain the rights of a human being, which is to now show all the good qualities of the religion, but at the same time, I do not have to embrace what you deem to be correct. I don't have to. I want to get that to be clear to everyone. If a person now who's Muslim now declares this affair, if they get married, then, like we said, we do not believe them to be a kuffar until what, everyone? Until the clear guidance have been conveyed. Even though what they did was an act of what? That necessitates that one's Islam is nullified. I want to make that clear. Jayyid? Tayyib. Another type of, now we move on to something else now. Another type of affair that will nullify Islam is another naqid, which is called shak. Shak, doubt. Doubt. Doubt in regards to Allah. Doubt in regards to His name and attributes. Doubt in regards to the hereafter. Doubt in regards to the punishment of the grave, or its pleasure, or its delight, or its enjoyment of the grave, or other than that, from the affairs of the unseen. For the affairs of the unseen is from that which Allah has tested us with, which is the first ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ إِيش بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. Those who believe, from the actual Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the qualities of the believers, or those who are preparing for the hereafter, that they believe in the unseen. That's why Allah tests us, from the test that Allah has given us in this world, to see when we believe in Him and believe in the affairs in which we do not see. That is another affair that Allah has tested us with, to see if we'll embrace it and have certainty of it without doubt. For verily doubt in those matters leads to disbelief, and it will lead for one's Islam to be nullified. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That's due to the ayah, as Allah Ta'ala makes in Surah At-Tawbah, إِنَّمَا يَسْتَأْذِنُكَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَارْتَابَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ فَهُمْ فِي رَيْبِهِمْ يَتَرَدَّدُونَ. Verily those who seek your permission not to go out and fight with you, they are those who do not believe in Allah on the last day, and their hearts have severe doubt, and they are constantly wavering in that doubt. Constantly caught up in it, caught up in its web of doubt. That's because from the prerequisites of faith is what, everyone? Is surety, yaqeen. That's from the shurut of La ilaha illallah. That validates your Islam is to have absolute surety. Doubt opposes that. And that will nullify your Islam. Generally, of course. Generally, it will nullify your Islam. And a person has to be taught, like certain matters, in certain affairs, they have to be educated before you can deem person to be out the fold of Islam. Certain people do not know what we're disseminating of knowledge right now. A lot of people don't know. You'll find certain Muslims don't know. They've been Muslim for 10 years. They truly do not know. You said, do you know that's a statement of disbelief? Oh, I don't believe polygyny is beneficial. Whoa. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, I don't believe music is halal. I don't believe music. I believe music is halal. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold down. Do you know such and such? I believe homosexuality is nothing wrong with it. Wait, ho. So your You understand? Is it clear? I believe Islam is just a religion for the men. I think it's a what they call what they call the word. What's the word I'm looking for? No. A male chauvinistic religion. I believe that it's a male chauvinistic religion that's catering to men and their desires. Yahi, wait. Do you know that's a naqid? That's a statement that will nullify Islam. Do you believe Allah to be your Lord? From the affairs of Rububiyyah. You could all say that these statements are all due to some type of what? Some type of discrepancy in the foundations of one's belief. All these type of statements shows that the discrepancy in the foundation. Everything returns back to foundation and aqeedah. If a person truly was educated and they attained certainty in these matters, they would never make these statements. Because them saying that Allah is my Lord, we know that Allah is perfect in what He legislates. He's perfect in what He legislates. Yes, we'll talk about that inshallah in another time. So that's another affair that nullifies one's Islam, which is what? Doubt. Another thing that nullifies Islam, brothers and sisters, generally, is al-masarra bin khifad din al-rasul wa karahiyat intisadihi. That person being happy that the religion of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu is being humiliated, or it's being what? That it's being destroyed, or it's being attacked, or it's being humiliated, and then person becoming in a state of hatred and detesting when it becomes triumphant and victorious. That you hate that. That generally is also what? That will nullify Islam. To be happy when you see that the deen of the Messenger of Allah is being humiliated, or it's being mocked at, or it's being humiliated, or it's being attacked, or what have you. And to be happy about that, or have the feeling that now you have attained some type of happiness or enjoyment. And the opposite, which you detest when you see it becoming victorious. That is also generally an affair that will nullify your Islam. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Another affair, for example, that nullifies your Islam is that which is in statements. That which is in statements. Statements such as, one, insulting Allah and insulting the Messenger of Allah, and mocking Allah and mocking and ridiculing the Messenger of Allah. Ridiculing or mocking Allah and His Messenger is from those matters that generally will nullify your Islam. Mockery of Allah, mockery of the Messenger, whether it be in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ayat that comes in Kitab al-Sunnah, or whether it be in any of the Sunan or the Message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Person has to be very careful. Person says, oh, look at it, that looks a little funny, you wearing your thobe above your ankles like that. look at your clothes. Person wearing or raising their pants above their ankles and make a mockery of it. Your beard, you had a beard, that looks like something that, cavemen wear. You have to be very careful. That's from the bone ages. You look like a caveman, you need to shave that off. If you have mockery of anything of the Sunnah and the Message of Allah sallallahu, it can invalidate your Islam, because what necessitates your faith and you believing Muhammad Rasulullah is that you're respecting, and not only respecting, that you have glorification and magnification of all of the Sunnah of the Message of Allah sallallahu. Everything he came with, alayhi salatu wasalam, that you magnifying and glorifying that thing. Because glorification of the Sunnah of the Message of Allah is glorification of Allah. Is glorification of Allah. You'll find that the great Imam Ishaq ibn Rahuya, or Ishaq ibn Rahaway, that he mentioned and said, well, this is actually Naqlan an Ibn Abdul Barr in Tamheed. But anyway, Ibn Abdul Barr, that he mentioned in his book called Tamheed, he mentioned the statement of Ishaq ibn Rahaway, the great Imam. He said, إجماع العلماء فقال قد أجمع العلماء على من سب الله وسب رسوله أو دفع شيئا مما أنزله الله أو قتل نبيا من أنبياء الله وهو مع ذلك مقر بما أنزل الله أنه كافر. Ishaq al-Rahawayh, he mentions, it says, or he conveys the ijma', the consensus of the scholars, that whoever ridicules or mocks Allah, or mocks or ridicules the messenger of Allah, or rejects something Allah has sent down, or kills a prophet. So do you notice that that's done with a what, everyone? Action. That's an action. There's no way that a person can say that I believe in the messenger of Allah, and then they try at the same time during his time try to assault him or kill him or murder him. That action totally shows what is in your what? In your heart, which is of disbelief. So he said, Ishaq al-Rahawayh, whoever kills a prophet from the prophets of Allah, even though it testifies of what Allah has revealed, generally that person is what? It's an unbeliever. It's a disbeliever. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? For example, a person takes the mushaf, slams on the ground, stomps his foot on it, bang, like this. The person that does that is a type of action that necessitates what? That necessitates generally takfir. That is an act of disbelief. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Or a person that takes the mushaf, slams on the ground, spits on it. That likewise is a naqid. Generally, that nullifies Islam. And that wasn't done by statement, that was done by what, everyone? By action. It's done by action. So there are some actions that can necessitate takfir generally. Trying to kill a prophet. Person said, I believe in the message of Allah. So he was out in the battle trying to kill him. That action necessitates what? No matter what he testified to, or what he did verbally, that action necessitates what? Takfir. Generally. Notice I keep saying in these statements what, everyone? Generally. Why? Because I'm saying that there's another category, which is what? That is what? The other category is what? Applying these ahkam to what? Specific individuals, which is a whole different what? Whole different arena. That's the reason why I keep saying generally. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? The reason why I kept saying that, generally, umuman or ijmalan, so that's what they call ihtiraz min at-takfir, in order to protect one from not falling to what? Takfir. طيب. Also, from that which nullifies one's Islam, or nullifies la ilaha illallah, that will nullify la ilaha illallah, is denial of something that's supposed to be known by the religion by extreme necessity. By extreme necessity. And I've given numerous examples of this. Such as what, everyone? Give me an example. Prayer. Ahsant. Person denies the obligation of prayer. That is something that has to be known, the obligation of it by the religion. Or that's known. Something has to be known, or knowledge of it in that affair of the religion by extreme necessity. Extreme necessity. Meaning, you are not excused of you being ignorant of that affair. You have to learn it. You have to learn it. And before salah is aqidah. It's the aqidah of Islam, which takes precedence over all that. Shahadat la ilaha illallah muqaddamatun ala kulli shay. Is to learn the affairs of aqidah, which takes precedence all over everything. Even though a person is supposed to what? Learn the salah likewise, and learn the correct ibadah. But if that's the affair of the salah, even though that comes after the shahada, so what do you think that the affair of aqidah and the belief in the shahada is supposed to be? And that comes before the salah, and as far as the arrangement of what is obligatory, of what's supposed to be an affair of knowledge of the religion by extreme necessity. Extreme necessity. Soon as you become Muslim, you have to learn the affairs of Tawheed and Shirk. You have to learn the affairs of Sunnah and Bid'ah. You have to learn the affairs of what is essential, or what is the quintessence of what will validate your Islam, which is these affairs of which we're speaking about right now. You have to. There's no excuse. Soon as you embrace Islam, you have to know what is Tawheed, what is Shirk, what is the meaning of Muhammad Rasulullah, what nullifies it, what's the conditions, what completes it, what will render it incomplete. These affairs you have to know. What is Sunnah, what is Bid'ah, what is the deviant sects, what are not the deviant sects, what are the sects of Kufr, what are not the sects of, what is the prerequisites of Kufr, who are Kufr, what are they, why do Allah hate them, and why do we hate them, to the end of it. You have to know these affairs. You cannot be excused and say, I'll use the excuse like I don't have time. We have to make time for these affairs. These affairs are ma'loom min ad-deen bid-darura. Affairs that you have to have knowledge of by extreme necessity. Extreme necessity. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? For a person that denies these affairs, such as the obligation of salat, or such as the affairs of tawheed and shirk, or give me another example, everyone. The person that denies the obligation, for example, of Hajj, for a person that has the ability, of course, or denies the affairs of what? Of the Ramadan as an obligation, or denies, for example, that the Messenger of Allah is the final prophet and messenger. All these, or for example, a person that denies or rejects that there's a hereafter, that there's a reckoning in the hereafter, or that denies that there's or that there are angels, or denies the affairs of, for example, shayateen or jinn. All these affairs, a person that denies it, generally what, everyone? It's something that will nullify La ilaha illallah. Ahsant. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? G. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? That is just in summary. There's a little bit more details in that, but I gave everyone a little glimpse of it. A little bit of details. Doesn't hurt. For verily the Muslims have to know this, because you'll find, and I've even witnessed, Muslims, been Muslims for years and truly don't know about these matters. They truly don't know. People find people making statements that you would never think that would come out of the mouth of certain people. You'll be like, well, you didn't know that? That's a statement of disbelief. Yeah, you didn't know that? No, I didn't know. I've been Muslim for 10, 15 years, you didn't know that? You'll find there are people out there that truly don't know, because they never studied the foundations. They never studied the fundamentals. And you'll find a lot of the Muslims out there that do not know, separate between the ahkam al-za'ama and ahkam khassa, as far as in the affairs of takfir. They read the books like we're reading now. See, person that does it, this is kafir. See, person does it, kafir. See, says it right here, kafir. See this person right? Kafir. See, kafir. Yahi, he's a general ahkam. Now when you do it to someone specifically, that's a whole other arena. But you'll notice that for Muslims now, they've been Muslim for years, they'll not make the distinction. They don't know. Well, I didn't know that there was general ahkam, and then applying it to specific individuals, that's a whole nother what? It's a whole nother arena, it's a whole nother affair. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That's the reason why we're going over this. These are fundamentals that we're going over. These are the basics. طيب. Now that you find that the great Imam goes on in the book, if you go back to the books, everyone. After he now was still speaking about La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So we just went over that. Islam, La ilaha illallah, means there's no deity where they worship in truth except Allah. And that we said that La ilaha illallah has its pillars. Has two pillars, which we'll talk about. Has pillars. It has its conditions. It has what will complete it. It has that will render it deficient. And it has that will nullify it. You have to know these affairs. These are affairs that are ma'loom min ad-deen bid-darura. These are affairs that you have to have knowledge of by extreme necessity. Extreme necessity. It's not affairs, oh, when I get the time, I'll learn it tomorrow. Yeah, I get the time, inshallah, yeah. La. You'll find that there's another naqid of Islam that's not mentioned. What I just said, and I'll mention it quickly, then we'll move on to the next qaida, the next principle what the great Imam mentioned, the next evidence. From the affairs that can nullify Islam is al-i'rad an ad-deen, to turn away from the religion and not having the desire to learn it or practice it. That generally is a naqid. You'll find that Muhammad Abdul Wahhab mentioned that in his book on Nawaqid al-Islam. It's in there. There's a naqid or something that will validate Islam. He says to turn away from the religion of Allah, where you'll find that the person doesn't have the desire to learn it, nor does he what? does he openly profess, or does shows the desire to practice it? Doesn't show any desire to practice it, nor does he show or express any desire to learn it. He said that's also a type of naqid, something that can nullify Islam if one is not careful. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve us and preserve you. Then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep our hearts turned to what's correct and keep it firm upon that. Because there's people who have the desire to learn one day, and then tomorrow you find them totally turned away. Out in the street, you'll find where he's been at the masjid, he's not learning anymore, totally turned away from the religion of Islam, and do not show any desire to practice or implement it. Something dangerous. Because that is something that considered a naqid min nawaqid al-Islam. Something that is considered generally, again, something that will nullify your Islam, nullify la ilaha illallah. Taib. We'll go to the next, now know to the next evidence that the great Imam put in the book. So he said, la ma'bu bihaq illallah. So we know that there are conditions, we know there are affairs that are completed, we know there are affairs that will nullify it, and we know those nullifiers can be in statement and it can be in what? Sometimes in actions. It could be in statements and in actions. It could be in both. Because the actions shows what's in the heart, what's in the i'tiqad. The statements and the actions shows what's in the heart of the individual. No one can take the mushaf, throw it on the ground, spit on it, and say, I believe in Allah and His Messenger. What? You understand, everyone? That which you did of an action truly show and indicate what's in your heart. You understand, everyone? Taking the mushaf and burning it, throwing it in the fire, and saying that this book be destroyed is a clear evidence, clear as the sun in the sky. What is what? What is in your heart? وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. نَسْأَلُ اللَّهَ الْعَافِيَ وَالسَّلَامَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. You understand, everyone? Those affairs, like we said, will nullify la ilaha illallah. And I want everyone to keep this clear, because there are people, a lot of Muslims out there keep thinking that just because you say la ilaha illallah, there's nothing that invalidates it. Yes, there is. And you have to learn them. So you can meet Allah ta'ala, and you meet Allah with a sound creed and belief, because that is the first thing Allah will examine on the day of resurrection, is the belief system and the things that the people used to conceal in their hearts of what they intended and what they believed. What you intended will be exposed. That's why from the first people that be thrown in the hellfire is the person that died, the shaheed, the person who read the Quran, taught it to the people, and the person who used to give sadaqah. The message, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposed what they truly what? Intended. And in actuality, what they intended was what? Was polytheism, because they did it for what? Other than Allah. So there was some discrepancy in their what? I'tiqad, in their belief system. Clear what I'm saying, everyone? First thing that'll be examined on the day of resurrection. Rather, the first thing that'll be examined in the, I'm sorry, let me go before that. The first thing that'll be examined in the grave is the belief system. Yes. The first thing that'll be examined when all of us are put, how many feet under of dirt usually? 6. When you are put 6 feet under the dirt, the first thing that you will be called directly in account will be examined is the i'tiqad, the belief. When the angels say to you, Man Rabbuk, who's your Lord? What's that connected with, everyone? Aqidah, the belief. Those idiots like Hamzah Yusuf says out of his mouth, oh, that's not important, you can learn that in 10 minutes. That's the foolishness and the nonsense of the filthy deviants such as Hamzah Yusuf that he says out of his mouth. Oh, the Muslims back in the day didn't put that much emphasis on that. Those Salafis and those people of Hadith, oh, don't listen to them. They always stressing the importance of it. You fool, you idiot. As soon as you die, Allah is going to test your Aqidah. When the angels come to you and say, who's your Lord? That's connected with Aqidah. It's connected with Rububiyyah. Ma dinuk, what's your Lord, what's your religion? Still, i'tiqad, belief. You examine it, what you believed. Who's your prophet? Muhammad Rasulullah. Who's your prophet? Still connected with the aqidah. Still connected with the belief system. It's the first thing is going to be examined in the grave. And you know the book that we're teaching right now, this book, Usul al-Thalatha, is the answers of the questions in the grave. That's why he wrote this book. Allahu Akbar. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Then on the day of resurrection, yeah, if you look, I think the clip is still on there. If you go on YouTube, type in Hamzah Yusuf, he says that your Aqidah can be learned in 10 to 15 minutes. Khalas, done. Are you serious? No, it's not that important. So the rest I can just grave worship and everything, which shows the contradiction of what you said. That's the reason why you're quoting the Burda Busayri that's filled with polytheism and filth of shirk, and you teach your followers to it, which shows the heavy hypocrisy of what you just said. You teach the Burda of Busayri, which is filled with polytheism and filled with shirk. Shirk, not even the polytheists during the time of the Messenger of Allah even fell into. And you tell your followers to memorize it and believe it. Where he tells in the Burda that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ has qualities of Allah, which is shirk and rububiyyah of Allah Ta'ala. Clear what I'm saying, everyone? Tayyib. So now we go on to the next evidences and proofs. You'll find that, we'll stop here inshallah because I don't want to make the lesson too long. We've been going on for like almost an hour. Tayyib. The next proof, and the last one we'll stop at, when he was talking about La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Another proof that the great Imam put in this book, which is the book of answering the questions of the grave, is where he said, the next proof, which is a Surah Zukhruf, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيم, what he says in his book, وَتَفْسِيرُهَا الَّذِي يُوَضِّحُهَا قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى, the tafsir of La ilaha illallah. He said, La ma'bu bihaq illallah, right everyone? So he knows that he substantiates everything he brings with evidences and proofs from Kitab and Sunnah. So now he brings another proof. He says in the ayah, which is Surah Zukhruf, ayah number what? 28. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيم لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ إنني براء مما تعبدون إلا الذي فطرني فإنه سيهدين وجعلها كلمة باقية في عقبه لعلهم يرجعون. طيب. Hence Ibrahim said to his father and his people, verily I free myself from what you worship. طيب. I free myself is what? On the testimony of the Shahadatain. La ilaha إلا الذي فطرني إلا الله فإنه سيهدين. Verily he will guide me. طيب. Ibrahim said La ilaha illallah in a different way. He said it, إنني براء مما تعبدون. Verily I am free from what you worship. طيب. What's that, everyone? La ilaha إِلَّا الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي, except the one who created me upon the correct, upright disposition of Tawheed. Which part of the Shahadatain is that? Or which part of the Shahada is that, excuse me? Illallah. So Ibrahim said, La ilaha illallah, and Ibrahim, our prophet, Abul Anbiya, the father of the prophets, gave the tafsir of La ilaha illallah here, where you find that Ibrahim set himself free from the mushrikeen and its people. And he gave it as a tafsir of La ilaha illallah. What did he say? Verily I am free. From what? From what you worship. In another ayah you'll find that he also displayed that he is free from you. Mean freedom from those who worship them. He showed his bara'ah. That's also the meaning of La ilaha. Like, what's the other part? Illallah. Illa alladhi fatarani. Except the one who created me. Notice that Ibrahim used Tawheed al-Rububiyyah in this ayah in order to establish what, everyone? The uluhiyyah and ibadah of Allah in the same context. Where's Rububiyyah in the ayah, everyone? Illa alladhi fatarani. Except the one who created me or made me upon that upright disposition of Tawheed. That's Rububiyyah. Taib. Where's Uluhiyyah? Where's Ibadah in the ayah? Where is it, everyone? Mimma ta'budun. Verily, I'm free from what you worship. So you'll find that he what? La ilaha illallah was mentioned in this ayah. And you'll find not only Ibrahim said, Illa alladhi fatarani, he also used rububi again. فَإِنَّهُ سَيَّهْدِينَ. He will guide me. What type of category of tawheed is that, everyone? He will guide me. Huh? La. Rububiyyah. Rububiyyah of Allah, the Lordship of Allah. Allah guiding you is an affair of the rububiyyah of Allah. Verily He will guide me. It's the rububiyyah. Then Allah Ta'ala says, and we made it a lasting or remaining word in this progeny. I mean, those who came after him from his followers, for verily perhaps maybe they will return to what is correct and they will leave off their polytheism. طيب. We'll stop here, inshallah. Of course. طيب, we'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Any questions?